When I unlocked the door and saw the underwear scattered on the floor, I stopped in my tracks. Lucy was always tidy. She'd never had a habit of leaving clothes lying around. I sighed silently and picked up each piece, folded them neatly, and placed them on the sofa. Calmly, I made myself a cup of chrysanthemum tea. Listening to the sounds coming from the bedroom, I felt a bit lost. In my mind, I did the math. 6 years. We've been married for 6 years. Not even past the so-called 7-year itch yet. What a shame. On impulse, I made a cup of goji berry tea for Lucy, left a note. I'm going to Stella's, don't worry about me. It was 3 a.m. when I reached Stella's villa. Calling her was pointless. She never picked up. I could have booked a room at a hotel for the night, but for some reason, I wanted to talk to Stella, even if it meant facing her teasing. By the 12th call, she finally picked up. Speak. She's become more and more of a woman of few words over the years. I have nowhere else to go. I'm outside your villa. Can you open the door? She stayed silent for a few seconds and then hung up. I sighed, opened the car door, ready to leave, but the villa gate beeped and opened automatically. She texted me, "Come in. Make sure to close the door." I chuckled, locked the car, and went inside. She leaned against the door in her pajamas, watching me wash up with an unusually grumpy look. "Didn't I tell you not to come to me when you and Lucy have a fight?" I finished washing, shoved past her to grab some skincare products from her bedroom. "Wow, these are pricey. Even I wouldn't buy this set." "Don't change the subject," she shot back. "Lucy brought a man home." "Things were heating up when I came in," I said with a smile, watching her. Her brows furrowed tightly as if it was her own spouse cheating. After a long pause, she asked, "Want a few drinks?" I shook my head. "I just wrapped up a show and have a 10-day break. I need to stay in shape. I don't want lousy skin messing up my next project." She stared straight at me for a solid 3 minutes before heading to the kitchen to pour me a drink. "Just plain water." I laughed. Man, almost forgot those days when we drank water to stave off hunger in that cheap apartment. Haha. Feels like a lifetime ago. She joined me on the couch and dimmed the lights. "Yeah, you couldn't sleep because you were hungry. Said you wanted pig trotters. We were so broke the next day I sold my Nokia for $50 to buy a bowl of pig trotter rice. Yeah, I ate the trotters and you had the rice." We locked eyes and fell into silence again. It had been years since we'd talked about those dark times. After a while, Stella spoke up, "Henry, just get a divorce." I was a bit downhearted. I've said it before, unless Lucy asks for a divorce, I never would. 10 years ago, I entered a TV singing competition. My clear voice and agreeable looks caught the attention of one of Lucy's assistants, which led to a meeting with Lucy herself. That year, Lucy had just stepped into the entertainment world and wasn't fond of the flashy artists, preferring to discover and nurture talent personally. I fit right into her vision at the time. I was 20, handsome, a bit raw, and a touch nervous. Lucy was 28, classy, and remarkably charismatic. Her first question to me was, "Why do you want to be an artist?" I answered without hesitation, "I want to make money, loads of it." She looked at me, laughed. "I've heard many reasons today, but you're the only honest one." I was curious back then. Didn't everyone want to make money? Lucy was my lifesaver. From the day I met her, she completely changed my destiny. I became her artist, and she spared no expense in promoting me. Top-notch team, top-notch resources. In just a year, I landed a supporting male role. The following year, I gained some fame. She still personally picked scripts for me. "Henry, cherish your reputation. You'll only meet one Lucy in your life." She loved to joke with me, said she liked making me laugh, that my smile was beautiful, like her brother who passed away. Yes, we were close. I shared my life story with her, how Stella and I fled from the countryside to the city at 16 like we were running for our lives. No parents, like ghosts wandering the streets, surviving on under-the-table jobs until we were 18. I told her with a smile. She listened with a straight face. Not that I blame her. Women like her, wealthy and beautiful, often have serious looks and minimal expression, which gives them an air of sophistication. Stella initially thrived from my success, working hard and content as my assistant. Later, An entertainment company named Judy negotiated with Lucy and took a liking to Stella, leading her to join them. We had an unspoken agreement from early on to prioritize our futures over feelings. At 16, while handing out flyers at a bar, we'd seen too much drama between men and women. One night, we helped a half-drunk man and sat for hours in the street. The man said, "Kids, remember this. Wise people don't fall in love. Fools choose to fall willingly." We remembered those words well. Stella had a tougher journey in the entertainment industry than I did. I had Lucy as my support. She had only herself to climb up the ladder step by step. I always remember the day Lucy, after hearing my story, gently pushed aside my bangs, held me close, and said, "Henry, you've really had a hard life." As for Lucy, all I know is she's an only child, was quite rebellious when young, and cut ties with her family to carve her own path in the business world. She eventually founded her own entertainment company, climbing to her current position. She told me about falling out with her family too. Her brother fell in love with someone her parents disapproved of. After a long struggle, he took his life. I've benefited in some way from her brother's memory, because Lucy once said that my facial features resembled her brother's. The next day, I woke up in Stella's big bed. She had gone to work. Tonight was her award ceremony, and she had a company lunch at noon. She left me these notes on sticky paper. After I got up, washed up, and finished the breakfast Stella made for me, Lucy called. "Where are you? Are you free for lunch? Let's eat together." Where? The box where I proposed to you. That place was her territory. The year it was completed, she happened to propose to me, and she announced it was for me. I have no family, and she was really thoughtful. I'm grateful to this day. I got there on time, and the receptionist asked for my autograph as usual. This time the reason was, "My uncle really likes you, Henry. Could you sign for him?" My writing flowed smoothly, and it was hard to tell I used to write like a kid in grade school. Honestly, I owe that to Lucy as well. After I got famous, she encouraged me to study. She said education can be seen as important or not important. Could be the icing on the cake or the light in the dark, depending on how you choose. She said to keep studying. It'll come in handy someday. So I acted and studied at the same time, and I got into film school. Once seated, Lucy got straight to the point about last night. "I'm sorry. Lucy, I don't blame you." She frowned a bit. "Yeah, I should have given a heads up about coming back. It wouldn't be this awkward now." I forced a smile and reached for some food. Maybe she had rehearsed, or maybe she thought I'd ask about that man, how long she'd known him, if he was as handsome as me, questions like that. But what she didn't know was that 2 years ago, when she started cheating frequently, I already knew the thrill was gone for her. Just when Stella won Best Actress, she threw newspapers featuring Lucy's nightly escapades on my desk. I crumpled them up. "Stella, focus on your career. Don't bother with unnecessary stuff." She snapped, "Henry, you're such a pushover." I was indifferent. Lucy was different from the average person. After all, it had already been 4 years, quite lasting. Stella scoffed at my vague tone. Lucy watched me with a complex expression, observing me eat bite after bite. Suddenly, she got impatient. "Henry, you never really loved me, did you?" I calmly put down my chopsticks. She'd asked me this several times before. "Lucy, I love you, and I respect you. But more than love, I'm grateful to you." She once said she liked my honesty. She smoked one cigarette after another and finally decided, "Henry, let's get divorced." I only took 5 minutes to agree. Okay. In those 5 minutes, I thought about many things. I remembered Lucy gently taking off my clothes in a cramped dressing room. At that time, she didn't ask if I loved her. She just quietly asked, "Can we?" I remembered standing under the spotlight being interviewed, while she confidently sat in the front row, arms crossed, smiling at me. She proudly announced to the world, "Look, I made this boyfriend. Isn't he great?" I remembered our grand wedding, the countless luxurious fireworks in the sky. I remembered her saying, "Henry, I have a wish. I hope you love me a little more each day. Just a little. If you do that day by day, month by month, year by year, then Henry will always love Lucy." Honestly, Lucy never owed me anything. If anything, I owe her quite a lot. The downtown apartment where you've been living, plus the villa near the movie studio. They're yours. Professionals will help you with the funds and stocks. Regarding the talent agency, I've already talked to them, she said unemotionally. If it's not enough. Lucy, it's enough, I interrupted. I don't need anything. Before we got married, my family insisted we sign a prenup. Whether I divorced Lucy or she divorced me, I wouldn't get a single cent. Makes sense, considering Lucy is the sole heir. They wouldn't just give everything away to an actor like me. Anyone else would never sign such a humiliating agreement. But under Lucy's hesitant gaze, I picked up the pen and carefully wrote my name, Henry. A month later, Stella saw the news of my divorce with Lucy on social media. She quietly glanced at me across the table, eating hot pot heartily, put down her phone softly, and placed some beef in my bowl. When Justin called, she wouldn't answer. If she wasn't annoyed, I sure was. Stella, can you change your ringtone? At this rate, I might start hating my idol's song. I suggested if you really don't like it, just block him. I can't do that. His dad paid for him to play the lead in a role and we've got business connections. Deleting him and then adding him back is embarrassing. I quickly responded, then don't delete him. Making money is important, making money is important. On the coldest day of the year, it was my birthday. My agent called with great news. I got the lead role in a series. I was overjoyed. There were many competitors for this role, and many were more promising, especially the new young, handsome actors. My agent said I was specifically chosen for the part. The reason was obvious. Stella smeared cake on my face. Henry, happy birthday. I hung up on my agent, grabbed Stella, and rubbed my face against her expensive clothes. She has this weird quirk. Back when she was almost begging on the streets, Stella wouldn't pass up leftover food from a trash can. Now that she's a top actress, she's suddenly got a cleanliness obsession. She cried out in anguish, Henry, Stella says once you hit 30, you gotta start being good and accumulating virtue. But someone like me, who never does good or bad, even the underworld judge wouldn't know how to handle me. Either be a saint or go all-out rogue. For my 30th birthday, besides a role that was a strong contender for Best Actress, I got another unexpected gift. Someone spread a rumor that the reason Lucy and I divorced was because I cheated. It started a whirlwind of chaos. My agent ran around trying to smooth things over. In the end, it was Lucy who resolved it by holding a press conference. Stella was doing a face mask and said in this weird way, people gotta start being good at 30. I threw a pillow in her direction out of frustration. Later, the rumors escalated. My agency turned a blind eye. With Justin's generous dad, they could always throw money at any project Stella was involved in. Once, I was having a drink with Stella and got spotted by paparazzi. We ended up trending. Funny thing is, Stella and I hang out all the time with no drama. Why are the paparazzi suddenly all over us? Stella hit the nail on the head. Lucy's got all kinds of connections. To her, this is a piece of cake. True, she could turn two slum dwellers like us into polished stars. There's no impossible feat for Lucy. The gossip then turned into Stella two-timing, then to her stealing Lucy's man. That really ticked me off. When I won Best Actor, Stella did something rare by gifting me a 7-figure piece of jewelry. Are you nuts? You can't just burn money like that. She looked at the piece in my hand indifferently. I endorsed for this jewelry one night. Got paid and I spent it back on this. Come to think of it, quite a rip-off. We call those luxury events for endorsement smile and sell gigs. I was gobsmacked. Legendary top seller, was it? She rested her chin on her palm, looking relaxed, her face so striking it could rival any woman's. Return them if you don't want them. But, even as she said it, she stood up, took the brooch and pinned it on me from behind. The window reflected our silhouettes, and I saw a bright smile form on Stella's lips. There. Justin called to ask her, "Did you give Henry that limited edition brooch?" She stayed quiet. Justin started wailing. "How am I worse than Henry, that old guy? Dude, did I ask you to pay for it? Chill out. I'm your boyfriend. You're embarrassing me in front of people." Stella sighed. "Justin, for the last time, stop making those fake couple campaigns. You keep doing this and even you'll start believing it. What's your deal? Stella, you jerk. She yelled back. Yes, Stella's a jerk. The brooch was stunning. So beautiful it made me tremble. Such amazing things can be terrifying to lose. I carefully put it back in its expensive box. Take it back. An old man, don't deserve something so good. Other than that, give me another reason. She pondered for a moment and said, Judy mentioned that the recent rumors are tarnishing your reputation. Needs dealing with. I looked at her to continue. If I wasn't really into you, she explained, she'd start a massive cleanup and turn things around completely. I wanted to know how. Just say we're sworn brothers and maybe work out a deal with Justin's team, act lovey-dovey for a bit. Could clear our names. Stella's clear meant stopping the rumors about her stealing Lucy's man or me being dumped for cheating. Judy gave me 3 days. So what are you waiting for? I asked. Losing your image isn't a joke. She looked at me with a goofy smile. Right, 20 years of poverty haven't taught me better. On the award day, Lucy was there, sitting right in the spotlight, blocking Stella's view. With all these rumors about me and Stella flying around, she didn't lift a finger to clarify. Back when, this wouldn't have even caused a ripple. But then again, with a divorce, is it worth the hassle? Her boyfriend, Ken, is this shiny new star, young and handsome. He looks a bit like you when you were younger, Stella said. That's Lucy's charm. Even when the agency wanted to change my name, she stood by me, saying, you're perfect the way you are. Remain Henry with me. After all these years, maybe I owe Lucy a thank you. Stella added, well, she did cheat and asked for the divorce herself. Thanking her would seem crazy, wouldn't it? Lucy kept looking at me with a hint of nostalgia. I gave her a light smile, like I had many times over the years. The award presenter, after the ceremony, randomly asked, Stella's with Justin now. As her longtime friend, any words for her? I held the microphone, smiling in an official yet fake way. Stella said my smile lacked sincerity and skills, and it looked entirely unconvincing. But sometimes emotions really do mess with your performance. Hopefully, she could see through it but chose not to say anything. I wished her happiness. The host asked, nothing else to add? I shook my head. Everything between us was unspoken. The audience erupted in thunderous applause. My assistant gave me a thumbs up from the audience. After the event, Lucy ditched her boyfriend to have a private chat with me. You did well this time, she said. I'm someone who values my image, so even if we aren't together, I still wouldn't want you with Stella. Honestly, she could have handled it herself but probably wanted to see how Stella and I would react. I jokingly said, then you shouldn't have divorced me, Lucy. Now nobody wants me. She tossed her cigarette to the ground and crushed it with her heel. What I mean is, it's fine being with anyone but Stella. It was late with the cold wind blowing, and oddly, I didn't feel the chill. Stella said, I'll give you a ride home. Her fragrance mixed with a scent uniquely hers made me feel secure. If you don't want to leave, come in for a bit, I offered when we got to my apartment. Stella stood tall, her face obscured by shadows, but she eventually came in. She hadn't been to my place in years. Clearly, she felt a little hesitant. I didn't take anything from Lucy's divorce settlement. This place was something I bought myself. Stella had scolded me a few times over that, saying, you were with her for 6 years, and it's like plucking a hair from a cow's back for her. It's not a big deal, but you didn't even take a little? She looked around the apartment and commented that the decor was outdated. It just needs to keep out the weather, no need for fancy decor, I replied. Remember when sleeping under a bridge seemed good enough? She gave a little laugh. True, people should be satisfied with what they have. She left after finishing her tea. I felt like she wanted to say more. But then I thought we're good like this, no need to ask. Besides, over the years she's been like a flower on a high peak. Someone beautiful who deserves someone equally remarkable. I looked out the window, watching her lean against her car, smoking, then glancing up at me. That night Lucy flamboyantly proposed to me. Stella had asked, Henry, can you not marry her? It was a good question, and truthfully I could have chosen not to. But if I didn't marry Lucy, we'd owe her a debt we could never repay. I'm convinced that if I hadn't gone through with it, Lucy wouldn't have made things difficult for me. The first few years of marriage, Lucy was very much in love. She was beautiful, rich. I couldn't find a reason not to marry her. So I told Stella, remember the drunk guy at the bar entrance who spoke to us? Stella eventually accepted it, saying I married Lucy because I loved her. I echoed, I married her because I loved her. Stella moved her hand forward and then retreated to a safe distance. All right, Henry, I wish you happiness. Stella's car eventually faded into the darkness. In the end, Stella never got together with Justin. Justin made a fuss for half a year and knocked on my door in the middle of the night, pouring his grievances into my ear. I had no choice but to patiently console him. I said, dude, you're handsome, young, and wealthy. You were born into privilege, why get so caught up over a woman? If she loves you, that's one thing, but she doesn't. Easy for you to say, you're not the one hurting, he retorted. I knew she liked you all along. Don't think I didn't see you two acting in front of me. So I sat down on the ground with him. Did Stella ever tell you our story? He nodded, eyes full of tears. Stella and I knew each other as kids, growing up in the poorest village, living off others. The villagers unwanted us, chased us like stray dogs. When she was 10, Stella stole the village head's sweet potatoes for me and got caught. They tied her to a post, shaming her in front of everyone. I recalled the insults as fresh as the day they were hurled. They called Stella a thief, predicted I'd be a vagrant, said we'd always be beggars, cursed our parents' early deaths. Bro, don't cry. I wiped my eyes with my sleeve. It's fine, crying's good for skin. When we were 16, a thug broke into her room, tore her clothes, and I burst in, pushing him off her. I paused at this memory, and Justin asked what happened after. We ran away, came to this city to survive. We slept on the streets, under bridges, collected scraps, searched dumpsters for food, worked illegal jobs, handed flyers, cleaned club toilets. We braved summer heat on construction sites, sweated in brick factories during winters. That's how we got by day. So when you say Stella's unfeeling, I ask, people like us, what use do we have for fleeting emotions? After that night, Justin stopped moping over Stella. She wondered how overnight he seemed to just move on. Judy tagged me on social media, saying I owed Stella a movie, asking if we should finally collaborate. I replied, waiting for the right script. Before, something about the tension between Judy and Lucy never allowed for Stella and me to cooperate. But now, with age, they seemed less confrontational. Judy is 42 now and has been single since her boyfriend's suicide. You might have guessed it. Her boyfriend was Nolan, Lucy's brother. That intense love story faded into time. Judy's been polished by life and has a shrewd heart. In the entertainment industry, she's become a savvy and successful player. Back then, she was dismissed, a proud but penniless person. They can't quite match up to the super wealthy, but the two entertainment companies have been neck and neck for years without a clear winner. On Stella's birthday, I was busy shooting a commercial and wouldn't be finished until around midnight. Judy called me several times, telling me Stella was drunk and calling out my name. I got to the villa by 12:30. Seeing me, Judy left with the others. Standing at the entrance, a shadow jumped at me. In the dim light, Stella found my lips. I had a cold, and my head was a bit dizzy. Her sudden move made me twist my ankle painfully. It brought tears to my eyes. Finding a gap, I slapped Stella across the face. She immediately sobered up, looking at me with a touch of grievance. Getting no gift is fine, but don't hit people. Pretending to be drunk with me? Over the years, I've seen all sorts of antics. You think I'm the pushover I used to be? Stella didn't like Henry talking this way. She said it made him sound like a mob boss, said he was putting on airs. In front of a woman, a man is always strong. With tough guys, if he acts like this, he'd only suffer for it. Seeing he walked a little weakly, she went to support him and realized he might be sick. You're burning up. Lie down and I'll get some fever medicine. Henry waved it off. No, I'll be leaving soon. I'm afraid you'll take advantage. She found some medicine in a cabinet and handed it to him with water, watching him swallow. All right, Stella, happy birthday. She stretched out her hand. Where's the gift? I had it all ready at my place. Came straight from the shoot, didn't have time to bring it. Stella knelt to massage his foot. Why do men's feet stink so much? I playfully nudged my foot toward her, and she held it. No big deal, I don't mind. She was thorough with the massage. Suddenly she said, Henry, isn't it wasteful for us to have 2 big houses? We should live together and save some money. Even though they've earned a lot over the years and have lucrative investments, ads endorsements, not to mention profits from films and shows. Stella, over the years, have you secretly been with other guys? Her hand paused, not expecting such a direct question. Am I too stunning to need to find men? They're the ones who come to me. Henry tapped her on the head. She confessed, Henry, I think I might not be capable anymore. Surprised, he said, then hurry to a doctor. I did. The doctor said there's no cure. She gave up and handed him a man's pajamas she got from the bedroom. Just stay here tonight. Almost asking where they were from, I realized they were mine. She stood straight in front of him. Henry couldn't help but gaze at her. Inwardly, he lamented, such a perfect body, such a shame. She caught his thoughts from his odd look. Don't get the wrong idea, I can't like other guys anymore. Pretending not to understand. A quick shower, and I crashed in the guest room. In the middle of the night, I woke to a rustling. Stella snuggling up. Don't move. Bad dream. Just let me hold you. Still weak from the fever, I had no strength to push her away. What kind of nightmare? I dreamed we didn't escape that night, and the thugs got you back. Must yours be the only nightmares about me? She started kissing him softly, from neck to earlobe. If you try anything funny, this is your anniversary. Content with a little win, she let it go. A quiet night except for the swollen red ankle. At breakfast, I asked Stella, do you often have nightmares? Sometimes. You had a fever again last night. I gave you more medicine. Thanks. Getting older, staying up late isn't good for health. Like last night, no one to care for you, you might not have made it. Life has its struggles. No worry. Are you moving in with me or should I move to you? Stella, we had an agreement, smart ones don't fall in love, fools are willingly caught. To you, it's foolish to fall for someone. Sounds cliché. My eyes well up. They looked at each other sincerely. Stella, we're not right for each other. Why? I was married once, you haven't been. I've waited for your divorce since you married. I'd give it all up for you. Giving it all up, is that for real? Go back to your 20s? Lucy told me to be with anyone but you. Do you get what she means? I will donate my cash, leave the spotlight, even be a beggar. He slammed the table and stood up. Are you crazy? You want to be a beggar? Do you even qualify to be one? Are you really Stella? Who are you, do you remember? Stella's eyes flickered with a shimmering light. Her beautiful face looked a bit dazed. No, I am Stella. You're not. I am. Repeating, you're not. She shouted, if I'm not Stella, then who am I? You're Lily. She slumped back into the chair as if struck by lightning. That name is like a curse for us. It ruins anyone who touches it. He told Justin about that time when he was 16. A punk broke into Stella's room at night, and he saved her. The reality was that Stella couldn't fight off the punk. She had to stab him with scissors. Rumor had it that the punk didn't die immediately and accused Lily of attacking him. In the days of poor communication, the local government relied on wanted posters and sketches, which weren't too accurate. Over the years, Lily had transformed into the glamorous Stella, her features long since changed. Only Lucy knew about it since Stella's identity was something she arranged through her connections. With an injured ankle and no recent gigs, staying home was the perfect opportunity for recovery. Stella came every day to cook for him, left afterward, and returned the next day. It was a routine. The doorbell rang. He hopped on one foot to the door, happy to open it. His smile froze. It was Lucy. You seem a bit disappointed to see me, she said. She looked at my foot. I heard you got injured, so I came to check on you. Thanks, it's not too serious. Just twisted it. I hadn't even told my assistant about the injured ankle, so how did she know? She stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, gazing at the river view. I heard you're getting married. Congrats, I said. Her fiancé couldn't possibly be Ken. Lucy wouldn't have the patience to cultivate another man. Her family had given her one chance to marry an actor and wouldn't give a second. So, her fiancé was Felix, a rich kid, handsome, with a good family background. They matched perfectly. "Are you living with Stella?" Her voice was cold, hinting at discontent. "Lucy, if I were with Stella, what would you do?" She turned with sudden sadness in her eyes but quickly suppressed it. "I won't do much, Henry. Just a little jealous, women do get jealous." She hugged me from behind, her chin nuzzling my neck. "What cologne are you wearing? Smells good." The sound of keys turning in the lock. The door swung open. She turned her head slowly and saw Stella standing there with groceries in hand, looking shocked. At 10 p.m., Stella returned. It was raining outside, soaking her completely. I went to the bathroom to run water and grabbed her a towel. She followed me and suddenly hugged me. Then, she started to kiss me. Water from the bathtub overflowed, warm liquid pooling on the floor, filling the room with mist. In that fog, her eyes were bright, like a beast waiting to pounce. She clumsily unbuttoned her shirt, breathing a little unstable. "I love you," she said. "It's okay if we don't get married. You can do whatever you want. Just let me stay with you." A night filled with passion and entanglement. Stella traced the contours of his face with affection still in her eyes. "Before I was 20, I had you every day. After 20, being together became a luxury. Do you think people are never satisfied? When hungry, they want to eat. After food, they want fame and fortune. After gaining both, they crave love. After circling back, they realize it was the simpler things that moved them the most." Feeling tired, I replied, "That's why you shouldn't eat too much." She smiled softly. "There's some truth in that." The next day, Stella wasn't there. She left a note. It read, "I'm gonna find Judy. If it doesn't work out, I'll turn myself in." Outside, it was still pouring rain. I turned on the TV. Every channel was covering Lucy's wedding news. Stella had left breakfast warming in the kitchen steamer. I took it out and ate slowly. I remembered when Stella was working construction. We rented a simple house nearby. She brought me a bouquet of wildflowers every time she returned. I placed them in a makeshift vase made from a water bottle. Our table was by a window. We ate buns with pickles. On rainy days, you could smell the blend of earth and fresh grass. I remembered it vividly because it felt so wonderful back then. Never would I have imagined Stella and I would reach such heights in life. Stella was right. In this materialistic world, I really should reconnect with those simpler things, the purest ones. I called Lucy. Her wedding should still be going on. "Lucy, happy wedding." Surprisingly, her tone had a hint of anticipation. "Thanks, but did you call to say something?" "I'm going to ask Stella to marry me. Wish me luck." The line went silent for a moment before the call was disconnected. He heard Judy went to see Lucy. They apparently had a fight over something but made up. The afternoon Stella returned. It had been raining for a week straight, but now the sun finally came out. Her car was parked downstairs. She didn't rush upstairs. Instead, she looked up at me from below. She opened the trunk and took out a huge bouquet. The doorbell rang. I went to open it, greeted by roses as far as the eye could see. Stella squeezed her head out of the crowd of roses. "Honey, I'm back." Epilogue, Lucy. My boy stood under the lights, surrounded like a prince. I'd seen him at his most ragged when he wore cheap t-shirts and faded jeans, his eyes looking at me with innocence and shyness. I had to admit, Henry back then was the most handsome boy I'd ever seen. Even now, Henry doesn't quite measure up. He has a resemblance to my brother, which is why I initially took him under my wing. He's a quick learner and really dedicated. Other people get frustrated after a few takes when filming, but not him. Even if he needs dozens of takes, he stays calm. I remember a scene where he had to get slapped. He wanted it to look real, so he actually took the hit directly. By the end, his cheek was red and swollen, yet he turned to me with a sweet smile. As he gained more popularity, I felt increasingly proud. I knew Stella always had a thing for Henry, but how could I let him go? He grew under my care, like my prized creation, a bloom that became famous overnight. In that tiny makeup room, I got him to myself. He was so obedient and well-behaved. I thought maybe marrying him wouldn't be so bad. At our wedding, Stella couldn't hide her disappointment. She left halfway through. 4 years into the marriage, I realized the guy I loved didn't love me back. But who did he love, then? It had to be Stella. There couldn't be anyone else. This crushed my pride. I poured my heart into him and ended up with nothing but an empty shell. I admit I often acted out, sometimes crossing the line. There were moments I intentionally let paparazzi catch me in the act. But Henry was never jealous. He was so accepting it was almost unsettling. Behind his back, I went through craziness and darkness, spiraling into breakdowns. Finally, I decided to give up. Henry quickly agreed to divorce, even refusing any compensation. In that moment, I felt regret. It was like losing a cherished bloom that I had nurtured carefully for so long. Rumors blew up about Henry and Stella, which I actually started out of bitterness. I even considered taking them down. One day, I saw Henry sitting by a flower bed, watching the sunset. His silhouette was thin, bathed in orange light, and it reminded me how I first saw him, like a timid deer in the woods. I originally wanted to help him, not crush him to boost my own worth. That realization freed me. You don't have to own the flower to appreciate it. As long as you remember it, it's yours forever. Judy barged into my office and slapped me. How did my brother end up with someone so fierce? Serves her right, she's single. After we fought, Judy silently fixed up the office. I admitted to her I just pulled some strings to marry him. Henry was the only one I wronged. Just once. That once was enough for regret. Seeing Stella flaunting her love for Henry made jealousy eat me alive. I locked him in the dressing room and used gratitude to my advantage to claim him, which I regretted for years. I could have won him over rightfully, but I ruined it. Sometimes I wonder, if I hadn't done that, would Henry have fallen for me? Judy brought up Stella's past troubles. I gave a bitter laugh, feeling stabbed in the heart. I wasn't that kind of person, but it hurt to know Henry thought I was. I'd done my homework back then. The guy wasn't even dead. The local authorities didn't find Stella, and that thug didn't dare pursue it. He was the one who committed the crime first. Judy smoked, probably thinking about her past, which is why she wanted to hit me. After a long pause, she joked about what it would be like if my brother were still around, and she'd be my sister-in-law. You wish, I said. Don't be the meddler you used to be, Judy. You bad-mouthed me to him, which drove him to despair. Turns out she knew all along. My brother was good-looking and innocent, and I feared Judy's intentions. So, I told him she was seeing other people and faked photos to support my lie. My sister, confined at home, couldn't stand it and tried to end things. Judy finished her smoke, got up, and said, "Stop wasting tears and focus on good deeds. You'll be blessed for it." Before leaving, I asked if she hated me. She paused but said nothing, just walked out. I owe my brother a life, partner, and Judy too. If not for my petty lie, my brother wouldn't have died, and Judy wouldn't be alone now. How did I end up impacting so many lives? I married Felix. I don't love him much, but I don't dislike him either. At the wedding, I stared at the dazzling white gown and felt a strange sense of loss. I need to stay sharp, else I might accidentally call out Henry's name. That would really make a fool out of me. I felt so empty inside, like I'd lost a treasure. When Henry called, I was over the moon. I thought to myself, if he says he misses me, if he says I shouldn't marry someone else, I'd drop everything to see him. Unfortunately, he said, "Lucy, happy wedding. I'm getting married to Stella. Wish me well too." I was overwhelmed with emotions and quietly hung up the phone. I guess I really lost him,